Every company has difference makers, the people who go above and beyond what's required. This podcast is dedicated to the people who challenge the status quo and make good companies great. Today, we're sharing one story from one company in our effort to inspire others. And welcome to Difference Makers, Episode 4. Today, my guest is Brent Eckhardt, Executive Vice President, Western U.S. for CrossCountry Mortgage. Brent, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for making time for us.
Of course, anytime for you.
I think there's going to be a lot of people excited about watching this one.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. We're a blessed time in the industry right now. It's great.
It's amazing. It's amazing, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
Brent, you've had an impressive career, and it looks like it's just getting better and better for you. And we can talk about the business, and we'll get into all that. But obviously, you're with a company that's on track to fund north of $30 billion this year, and you've been there sort of from the get-go with this company, and it's impressive. And we're going to get into all that. But talk to me. I want to kind of find out a little bit about you, because this show's about people that challenge the status quo, that make good companies great. And I feel like you do that. And that's why we're excited about kind of finding out a little bit more about you. So
I grew up in a town a little bit south of San Francisco called Hillsborough, California. And came from some parents that were very hardworking, but got divorced. I got into sales at a relatively young age, and frankly thought I was really good at it, did pretty well, up until about 2002 when my sister, who's in the mortgage business, told me she had a rep that in 1 month made $100,000. And
the light went on.
I went, you mean a year, right? And she goes, no, I mean a month. And I was like, that's like $1.2 million a year. I mean, that's amazing. I literally asked her that day if I could meet the salesperson that was so amazing in the mortgage business that he was making this amount of money. And I went out to dinner with her and that gentleman. And then I asked him if I could shadow him for a day and see, what he did. And I went out with him in the business and watched him for a day. And my sister, when it was all done and said, well, what'd you think? And I said, well, if he's your best salesperson, then all I got to do is learn it and I'll crush it. And my sister decided to teach me the mortgage business. And I begged and pleaded for a job in the mortgage business back in 2003, got that job, and my income went down about 80% my first year.
What were you doing before the mortgage business? Where were you before that?
I was in the construction industry selling construction projects, but I had this thing. I told the owner of my previous company, I said, I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care if I've got to be here at 5 a.m. and stand on my head. I don't care what I have to do. I'll work longer hours. I'll work harder than anybody you've ever met. And one way or another, I will succeed. I believe that talent, without drive doesn't get you very far. If you have a lot of drive, you can really become successful in anything that you really want to be.
Totally agree.
I've met people with, Stanford and Harvard master's degrees, and they don't make, 10% of what I'm fortunate enough to do in the mortgage industry. So I'm blessed.
But let's go. There's a driver there somewhere that's saying that's not good enough. I want to do better. I want to do greater things. Where was that seed planted? Was it somebody in your life early that was a great influencer? I mean, yes, you grew up in an affluent area. You saw it all around you, but somebody must have influenced you in that regard, whether it's business or personal, or maybe personal turning into business, or whatever the case may be.
Sure. On the personal side, I mean, I ran my first marathon when I was 13 years old. My mother was a triathlete, and if you wanted to bond with my mother, you had to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and train. And whether it was bicycling, whether it was running, whether it was swimming, it gave me a work ethic that was really incredible. I hate running to this day. I don't want you, don't ask me to run with you, Jim.
I don't run.
Because I won't do it.
I'm not built for running either. Trust
I'm
me.
not built for running. I do CrossFit now, but I wouldn't do it. I won't go running. I don't like running. Running's not my thing anymore. But she gave me an incredible drive to get up and do it. And then that really was kind of the person that kind of made me who I was as far as like a work ethic. Because when the meltdown happened and the company I was with was going to go out of business, I was getting up at 4 a.m. and going to the office by 5 and working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night, just trying to survive through the mortgage.
So the work ethic you learned from mom through the running and really kind of having to push through stuff. I mean, marathons are not easy.
No, not at 13. My mother had my mother was ranked in California at one point in time, like number 2 in tennis. She was a straight A student. My grandfather was a surgeon. I mean, they weren't used to anything but, perseverance and working hard, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So did you play sports in high school outside of running?
Yeah, I did sports in high school. I did track and field and things along those lines.
Yeah.
I'm a snowboarding maniac. I
Really?
spent a lot of time in the winter. I wakeboard. I learned how to sail. I can't even remember when I learned how to sail. My father wanted me to be an Olympic sailor. I never made it that far, but I'm an avid sailor too. So I do some things that are kind of outside of the box of that sort of athleticism.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you get into the mortgage business in a sales role, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that role?
I was an account executive, and frankly, wholesale account executive. And frankly, I was not qualified for it. I begged and pleaded to learn it. I literally, when you start in the mortgage business, there's a lot of things that you think about that are like LTV, CLTV, DTI. And then I was selling an exotic product called Nina's. And I was like, what's a Nina? That's a girl. Yeah. And I'm like, no income, no asset. So to learn the mortgage business was very difficult, and to be good at it right out of the gate was difficult. It was funny. My secret to my success in the beginning was my sister told me, she goes, if you're an account executive, I'll give you some very basic advice. 1, don't lie to the LOs. They know more than you. 2, answer your phone as fast as you can. 3, get them their information as fast as they can. Mm-hmm. And make sure it's always accurate. And if you do that, and the final one was take care of your staff. Really take care of your staff. Mm-hmm. Because if you do all those things, you'll be successful. And I'm like, wow. So I teamed up with an underwriter. It's when Blackberries first came out. And you'd call me on the phone and you'd say, hey, Brent, I got this really technical scenario. And I would say, that is really a technical scenario. Would you do me a favor and send me and type it out and send it to me as an email? To be honest with you, Jim, most of the time I didn't even understand what they said. I would cut, paste, and send it off to an underwriter.
That's being resourceful. You knew where to get the answer, right?
Yeah,
facilitator.
I cut and paste and send it off to the underwriter, and she would respond to me within a few minutes. And I would cut and paste and send it back. And then we'd go back at night and she would teach me why the answer was the answer it was. She told me never ask her the same question twice or she'd think I was stupid. And okay. I built my business. People were like, he's always right. His information's quick. I got it. And next thing you know, I was the top account executive for my past company for years and years and years and years. And then I just branched into other parts of the business, recruiting for retail, mm-hmm. and wholesale and correspondent lending as well. I have dabbled in that a little bit as well.
That's really cool. So how did you end up at CrossCountry?
CrossCountry, I had a falling out with the previous owner of my company. We just didn't see eye to eye on some things. And I called friends that I knew in the business that were not working for that company. And I said, I want to talk to, I want to work for someone that, kind of fits me a little bit. And I was fortunate enough to talk to a gentleman who said, Brent, you got to go to Ohio. And I'm like, Ohio? Why would I want to go to Ohio? And he said, you got to meet this guy named Ron Lenhart. And I said, okay, what's his company's name? And he goes, CrossCountry. And I go, who's CrossCountry? And he goes, you wouldn't know them. They're out of the Midwest or out of the East Coast. And they have no representation in California whatsoever. And I'm like, with all due respect, why would I want to work for a guy who doesn't do loans in California?
Yeah.
And he goes, I go, because California is kind of a niche market, as a lot of people feel their own markets are, whether it's the East Coast, West Coast, anywhere really. And he goes, no, you got to go meet him. And I'm like, I never thought I'd go to Ohio. I never did I'd never had a desire necessarily to go there. And, but he talked me into it. And he said, if you meet him, you'll love him because he's like you. And I had no idea what he meant by that. But I went to the East Coast and met with Ron Lenhart and spent a few days with him. And he was right. I was willing to come back and try to pull some of the biggest producers in the United States to join him. Completely believe in the man. The man has never, ever gone back on his word on me. I believe him to be the best CEO in the mortgage industry. When we started, Ron was doing about $260 million a month. It's crazy to say now when we're hitting months that are over 3 billion. He has a desire to build it. He has a desire. There's no amount of money he won't spend to make the platform better. And he's an amazing man to work for. And I'm very blessed to have met him. Yeah, I got very lucky.
What motivates you? What is it that burns inside of you every day? Where's the motivation? What is it exactly?
It's just to be the best. When I leave the mortgage industry, I want to be a part of the company and help grow the company. That's the biggest company in the mortgage space on a retail platform. And that's my driving force. That's really my driving force. The other part of it is I've been blessed in the mortgage industry. I mean, I love hearing, I was talking to a friend of mine who was just an originator about 3 or 4 years ago. He believed in the platform. And now he's got reserves of over $400,000 in his bank account. I mean, it's great when you can take people and watch them grow and you can help them build their lifestyle. And across country, everyone's really happy about other people's success. And that's a big thing for me. There's not a lot of, there may be jealousy, but it's when you can take someone and really change their life for the better, which the mortgage industry can do. I don't know of an industry. I tell kids, I've got friends, children that are now graduating college, and they're like, can they talk to you about maybe potentially going to the mortgage space? Is this something that they should consider? And I think it's the greatest place to be. I really do.
So
as far as business.
Went down a road that I was going to go down. So let's go down it because we're already on it. Talk to me about some of the successes you've had with recruiting people and then post-recruitment success after you got them underneath your wing and sort of helped them get to the next tier in their career. I'm sure you've got a couple of stories you can tell us.
Yeah. One that our number one producer is he's an amazing guy. He's been a top producer everywhere he's ever gone. And I told him about CrossCountry, and he wasn't really all for CrossCountry in the beginning. And but I told him, I said, you got to believe in the platform. You got to believe in Ron Lenhart, and you'll be bigger than you've ever been before. And this year he'll do about $500 million of personal production, which the year before he did.
There's companies that don't do that, Brent.
Yeah. Last year he did like 220 million, which everyone thought was an amazing number, but he's going to shatter that this year. and he's probably one of the most talented people in the mortgage business, but it's the platform that really has helped him. And frankly, Ron has really helped him in a lot of mentoring and so forth to really build up his production. But we can't believe he's going to do that sort of production. But even guys that are smaller, the guy that first took me out in the mortgage business, this is funny, back in 2003, he was an account executive, recently joined us. And I said, you'll do better than you've ever done before. And he's going through some personal issues and different things, but he funded in 1 month more than he funded in an entire year last month.
Wow.
And he goes, Brent, I couldn't do it without, it's not me, it's the platform. It's what we've built to really support the loan officer. So things like that. I mean, I always tell people that if you're whatever you're funding, wherever you are, if you're funding, 4 or 5 loans a month, CrossCountry just by our system should be able to help you get to 6 or 8, and so on.
What's the competitive advantage, without disclosing too much trade secrets? What's the competitive advantage at CrossCountry? Why do people go there and just experience wild success? I mean, besides the platform, it's an attitude, right?
It really is an attitude of the owner. And what Ron believes is that, we're about the loan officer and we're about funding loans. One of the things when I left my previous company that I wanted to go to a company, I didn't know if I'd find this particular thing, which may sound funny to most people, but I was tired of talking to people who were going to make decisions for their staff that hadn't even originated a loan after the meltdown. So think about this for a second. I wanted the entire senior management team that helped make decisions on shaping the company to have originated loans after the meltdown, because most of these companies of the size that I have dealt with, the owners hadn't originated in years. Most of the senior management hadn't originated in years. Frankly, they didn't know the pain of doing a loan today with as much oversight as we have. Every single person on the senior management team of CrossCountry has originated loans after 2008. Ron himself has originated loans all the way up to 2013. Find me a guy that's running a company our size that has done that. Or so they're boots on the ground. They understand the business. And frankly, if you were to talk to my chief credit officer and he'd say it's really not that technical. All we're doing is manufacturing a loan. It's just a manufacturing process, and we're trying to make it as smooth as possible and as fast as possible. As far as an edge, CrossCountry usually doesn't post turn times. We usually are 24 to 48 hours. We've gone a little outside of that now. I think one of my loan officers said it best, is that where most companies operate on a rush to get things done, CrossCountry, it's our standard turn times. Ron believes that if he can get loans turned in 24 to 48 hours, that we're going to turn faster and the loan officer can go out and get another loan. It's pretty much that simple. We try to staff at 120% of production.
Yeah.
And then fill that with good people.
One of the things that I've noticed is that, we talk about that attitude, and it's really, I think it's for the limited amount of time that I've been able to spend with you and getting to understand the company. For me, from my vantage point, it seems as though Ron doesn't lead, you don't lead with profit. Now we're all in it to make money, right? You're in it to make money. We're not in it to break even, right? Everybody's got to turn a profit, but you can be greedy, pig, or you could be a pig or a hog, right? And hogs get slaughtered, right? Pigs get fed. So I don't really understand why companies won't sacrifice a little bit of margin for the long-term good and the growth of somebody, an individual, a company, whatever the case may be. And I've noticed that with CrossCountry. CrossCountry just wants to win. And it's that winning mindset that I find to be particularly impressive. Difference Makers podcast is powered by Verity Search. Verity Search is a different type of executive search firm. With industry insights and access to data unlike other firms, Verity serves as a trusted advisor to its valued clients. Some of the key services include strategy planning, research, marketing, prospect identification, qualification, and recruitment across all markets and geographies. If you'd like more information, please check out the website at veritysearch.com.
What do you do when you have everything? What do you want really after having all the stuff, right? When you have the cars and the boats and the planes and all the different stuff. All you really want to do is leave a legacy, and you want to be the best at something. I mean, that's it. That's, if you said to me, what's Ron's driving force? Ron's driving force, because most people, if they made the sort of, been as successful as that gentleman has been, would be done by now. They would have sold their companies or something along those lines. He owns a company 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wants to be the biggest, baddest mortgage platform on the planet. That's all he wants.
And that's a whole nother deal, because that comes probably from his athletic background. I believe he played college football, and winning was instilled in him too. So I get that. It's not about material things for him. It's not about material things for you. It's about winning. And I've noticed that early on with you guys. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you wish, Brent, when you got into the mortgage business, what do you wish you knew that you know now?
I wish I had gotten into it when I was 18.
Started earlier.
Oh my God, I wish I had started earlier. I wish I had really focused on it and became great at it, because it is an amazing industry and you can do so well. And if you work hard, the income stream and the success level is unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem, you have a lot of these companies are run by people that they think they're God sometimes, and it cracks me up, because we're not curing cancer. So stay humble and take care of people and don't be worried about the money. That's kind of Ron's philosophy. Ron, worries more about people than he does about his bottom line.
It seems like he wants to make a little bit on a lot instead of a lot on a little, and that's it's a defining difference. It really is. It's, again, leads back to that attitude.
Yeah.
Where do you see the next sort of shape shift in this business? Let's just look forward 10, 11, 12 months from now. Refis are done.
Done.
Where we go back to purchase. Where's the next shift? I mean, underwriting salaries are through the roof. Processing salaries, closing salaries, all of the operations demand has driven salaries through the roof. Is there going to be some sort of a cost cut measure? Are we going to see technology? Are we going to see more direct to consumer? What are we going to see here? What's your opinion?
I think you're going to see the people that'll be very good at the business, that'll still collect more market share, are the loan officers that are actually going out and finding the consumers that want to purchase homes, that are getting ahead of the real estate agent. Mm-hmm. I see a shift in the business where my top guy, he would do seminars, and I'd watch him go into a room before COVID and pull out 30 applications for people who wanted to buy homes. And then he teams up with real estate agents, and now he's the driving force. Mm-hmm. For years, it's been, loan officers asking the realtor for referrals. And now people come to him and say, hey, I want to partner with you because you know how to go out and find consumers who want to purchase property. I think technology will always be a big driving force. But the companies that are going to exceed, that are going to do really well, and then kind of the next, version of what we're going through, will be companies that can close quickly, assure the consumer they're going to close on time. Little things that we have done as a company, one of the things that we do in a normal market is we can underwrite all of our files up front. Now, that doesn't sound like much to a lot of people, But how I bought my particular home was I told the person that was listing the property that, I'm good to go. And they're like, what do you mean? I go, I've been completely underwritten. Everything's been validated, and I can make you an offer where I have a 5-day appraisal contingency and a 10-day close. And that's almost as good as what? And they go, cash.
Cash.
It's funny. The industry is kind of lopsided in that most people, we're buying the most expensive thing that we'll ever purchase in our lives, but most people go out shopping with this thing called a pre-approval, which quite frankly it by definition means before it's approved. What if you went out with a full-blown commitment? Like you've got a commitment to lend. You've got an edge. And that's the sort of things that the big banks won't do because they don't want to invest the money in fully underwriting a file and so on and so forth. They want you to be in escrow. But again, it's what it requires is an owner that's willing to staff at a level that you can do that. Most companies won't staff at that level because it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to winning. Ron Lenhart wants to win. He wants his loan officers to win those transactions to get that business. We have real estate agents that won't work with anybody else but CrossCountry just based on that. They take all the fear out of actually buying a home. When a real estate agent goes into escrow, he may only have 12 deals a year. So he's really particular about that one closing.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest fear is usually financing falling out. And so if you can alleviate that fear, you can capture more market share. A lot of mortgage people will do what they've done in the past, and they're refinancing in the twos is pretty easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're neglecting their real estate partners. That's your biggest mistake, that I see that'll happen in the next 12 months or so. Then they'll get done with their refis, and then they'll go back to their realtors, and the realtors are like, where were you a year ago when I need you? So.
Yeah. How did you and I meet? Do you remember?
I know exactly how you and I met.
Do you want to tell the story, or do you want me?
It's funny because I always tell people about you, and they said, well, how'd you meet him? And I said, well, he called me one day and tried to recruit me. Mm-hmm. Or at least, set up a potential recruitment call. And I told you, I'll never leave CrossCountry. Mm-hmm. I'll never leave Ron Lenhart. Maybe if Ron, God forbid, something happened to him, I'd leave, but that would be it. I can't imagine ever leaving for any other reason. And then I spent another 3 hours on the phone with you explaining to you exactly why. That's how we met.
And then I hung up and I said, I'll turn him at some point. I called you. I think I called you a year later and tried it again.
Yeah.
And again, you told me to go fly a kite. And for lack of a better, more child-friendly phrase here, sure. G-rated. But no, it was at that point that I said, there's something special here. I need to find out more about this. And we began to continue to talk. And every now and then I'd drop you a line and say, hey, I got this or I got that. And you said, man, you always know how to get me to call.
Yeah, and, you do. Yeah. You do. And you know how to get to right to my soul.
Yeah. Fast forward now, I'm addicted to Whistle Pig. Thanks to you. I've got just a beautiful list of wines that I'm shopping for right now, thanks to Lauren, your fiance. Yeah. It's been good, and we've had some early success. So I'm looking forward to more. It's been an influence for me actually to see what a real winning organization looks like, and it's been a real blessing for me, and we're enjoying it. Yeah. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, we got nothing but love for you and your organization, Jim. You guys are great.
Same here. Yeah. So what's going on out there in California? Are you guys still locked down, or where are we at?
Yeah, it's we got wildfires going on.
Yeah.
And which is the most wildfires we've ever had in the history of California are going on. So that's kind of a mess. We got ash on cars and stuff, even though I'm far away from the fires. And we're pretty locked down with COVID and so forth. So It's been a tough year. I mean, it's been a crazy year. I can't imagine, not traveling and things along those lines. So but we'll get through it, and hopefully we have a wet winter, which would be nice for the fires and stuff like that. And we'll get out of COVID probably coming out the first quarter of next year. And then, the sky's the limit. We'll continue doing what we do.
It's interesting. Our lakes are overflowing here. I mean, we're literally getting dumped on every day.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
just water everywhere. And then you go to the opposite side of the country and you've got what you've got there in California.
Exactly.
So when does it start raining out there typically?
Usually around November, we start getting some rains. Hopefully, if we start, I always say, because I'm a snowboarder, I always say if we get like early rains in October, we're usually going to have a really good winter up in Tahoe and so forth. But who knows? You don't know. You don't know. We haven't had any real precipitation. It's funny because when I'm out in Florida, my dad has a house in Fort Lauderdale. You guys have electrical storms all the time, and it's no big deal. I mean, it's like you guys, it's nothing, right? It's like, oh, there's lightning in the sky. We get lightning in the sky, it's a big deal. And when we did, that's what sparked all of our fires, because we're just so dry. It started lighting up everything up. So that's where our problems lie.
So I just got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
One of the things that impresses me most about you is your ability to connect to people. When someone talks to you, even for the first time, it's as if they've known you forever, right? There's a comfort factor. You put people at ease. You talk to people at a very down-to-earth level. Does that come from your parents? Does that come from your kind of how you were raised? Where does that come from? How are you so relatable to people? Is it from your early sales experience and learning to adapt? Did you always have that, or did you develop that? Or
I don't know. I believe I love people. I enjoy seeing people genuinely succeed and do well. I don't hire anyone at CrossCountry that I don't feel is a fit. I don't feel won't do well. And when you really invest in your people like that, you can talk to anyone I've ever worked with, and they may not necessarily have loved me, but they wouldn't say I've ever steered them in a direction I wouldn't want to be steered. And that's, I mean, that's just the way I live my life. And so if I genuinely believe that you're going to do well, I want to figure you out. I want to know more about you. I want to know your goals. I want to know where you want to go, what you want to do in the business. If somebody came to me and said, I'm the king of bonds and I want to work at CrossCountry, I would tell them, dude, we don't want to do a lot of bonds.
Who does?
Yeah, I was going to say, don't come. With all due respect, we're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. We're not going to be happy. I genuinely have invested in people's success. I enjoy them. And it's funny because a lot of people don't really think that way. They get jealousy and all of that. When I hear my friends do really well and make a lot of money and buy nice things and do well, I'm genuinely happy for them. I really, really, really am. I'm like, good for you, bro. I mean, that's awesome. And if I see people that come to me and say, hey, Brent, I want to really do better, I'm like, I'll help you. I'll help you if you listen to me, I'll help you as much as I possibly can, and I'll help you grow. And that's because people invested in me. I mean, they invested in me at the early part of my career where I knew nothing about the mortgage industry. I mean, I knew, very little. But it was it was a lot of pain, going from what I was making to starting over. But it's like I said, it's the best business in the world, my friend. I mean, I love it. I can't say enough. And people go, when are you going to retire? When are you going to stop doing what you do? And I go, God, I don't think I can. I think I don't know.
Ask Bill Belichick that same question. It's still fun,
Yeah, it is. It's a blast. This is a great business, and it helps a lot of people, and it helps the people in the business. It helps people outside of the business. And I just love what I do. I just love what I do. And I don't see myself ever stopping doing it. So
great.
It's my fun.
Well, listen, thanks. You've been really generous with your time, and I know you're busy, and this probably cut into some business time. And I know we had it on the calendar for a bit, but it's always easy to go, you know what, I can't do it today. So thank you for taking time out and giving everybody a chance to kind of understand who you are, where you come from, what drives you, and then why cross country. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you, Jim. It's always a pleasure talking with you, my friend. So,
thank you, man.
Thank you,
Brent.
All right. Okay. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.